Greetings, friends. I wanted to pop on here for a few minutes to share how you can strengthen your abdominals and your core and respiratory muscles even when you are experiencing discomfort. The last thing that we feel like doing when we have back pain is sometimes doing exercise, and that can lead us to being even more sedentary, which then can create even more problems, leading to less circulation, less oxygenation to the tissues, and poor posture. So, I wanted to share a little story of one of our Mend My Back clients who has actually gone through 3 different back surgeries. And so he came to me looking for an alternative option because he's facing perhaps a fourth surgery, which, in some cases is helpful when there needs to be repair of any structural damage or very severe herniated discs. I mean, the list goes on why it may be appropriate for some people to have back surgery. However, there's a lot that we can do, and the body wants to maintain its natural state of balance. And so there's a lot of things that we can do to take care of ourselves, just like we eat our meals each day and that we get proper rest in the evening and we brush our teeth every single day. There is also something called personal exercise hygiene. And it can be really simple. And so let me share with you 2 things that I shared with this client who was facing a lot of discomfort. So forget doing traditional abdominal exercises. A lot of the research says, well, you need to strengthen your abs to keep your back strong and stable, which is true. Yet when we're in feelings of pain and inflammation and discomfort, where it's just hard to move around, yet we know that we need to strengthen the core, how can we do it? So ideally, we want to maintain and respect the natural curves in the spine. So from the neck, the mid-back, the lower back. We've talked about this before. So think about first your breath. So let's take a look at 2 things. They both start with the letter B. So breathing and bracing. So the first thing that I shared with this particular client who was facing back surgery again, before making that decision, I said, start by doing some of these little postural exercise. Now, you can do this sitting, but sometimes sitting adds even more compression on the lumbar spine. And so we can do this lying on our back with the head comfortably on a pillow, the feet separated. And I'll show you here in a moment. But think about breathing 360 degrees. So what happens when your lungs expand? So they push inward against the rib cage. And so where do each one of those ribs attach? They attach within the facet joints of our spine. So when we expand the lungs, then there's an expansion of the rib cage. There's a natural elongation that happens within the spine. And so we begin to decompress the intervertebral discs, and we start to create a little more natural space for all those nerves that come out of those areas from our central nervous system and innervate our arms and our neck and our pelvis and our legs. And sometimes when those nerves are compressed, then there's a lack of circulation, lack of movement, and everything feels contracted, and we just don't want to move. So try this. Come down onto your back. Now make yourself comfortable. When you're in pain, it might take you a few minutes just to get down onto your back. So feet are hip distance apart. We find a comfortable position. And if your upper back is rounded, that's where it may be helpful to prop the head up on a pillow so that the neck stays in a nice, natural, comfortable position too. Now you can place your hands on your rib cage, perhaps even just very gently rocking the pelvis. So you just find a balanced, neutral space here. With the hands on the ribs, feel that there's an opening. So you breathe in, almost like an accordion that expands. You should feel your hands expand and move outwards. And as you exhale, draw those ribs back in. There's a gentle drawing in of the abdomen. Now, what my client noticed when he started breathing this way was, 1, he didn't feel a lot of movement initially because everything was so tight and jammed up inside. But 2, once that started loosening up around 10 deep breaths, he started hearing these natural little pops in his back as the spine started naturally decompressing, almost like, when we go for our chiropractic appointment. So you're giving yourself a natural, very safe adjustment. So we breathe in, feeling that expansion of the rib cage, and just imagine that you're breathing 360 degrees. So there's movement through the front, ideally movement through the side, and also some natural movement of the back ribs. So I encourage you just to do as long as it takes. We did this breathing for about 5 or 10 minutes together, so you can practice that. And then the second part, once you start getting the breathing, think about starting to engage the deeper pelvic floor and abdominal muscles. This is called bracing, as though you want to tighten your belt, or like the corsets that women used to wear a long, long time ago, where you're tightening those strings to draw the inner structure, inner unit of deep abdominal muscles inwards. So what you do is you still continue with that expansive breath in. And then as you breathe out, you can do this through pursed lips, through your mouth, and just feel that the belly button is coming into the spine. So I'm not moving the spine like we do in any form of crunches or traditional abdominal exercises. You're learning how to tap into these deeper muscles while staying in a neutral, supported position, which is great when any kind of flexion or extension movements of the spine are uncomfortable to do. So we breathe in, expand, just keep going. And then breathe out. You can use your fingertips and just feel there's a bit of a bearing in. Like you want to, even if you have to go to the bathroom and you want to hold those internal muscles and you want to draw your abdomen in like you're buttoning up a tight or a pair of pants that might be a little too tight. You've got to suck that in a little bit. There's lots of ways to explain bracing. Or similar to when you cough. Notice when you give yourself that little cough that the belly and those abdominal muscles contract. So you can try that too. So as you exhale, we're just feeling that little tightening, but without flattening the back or overly arching the back. So how do you know that you're in neutral? Your pelvic bones, these two top hip bones, and your pubic bone are fairly level. So just keep going. Breathe in, expand. And breathe out. Start to tighten that belt, drawing the belly in. So without tightening your shoulders, your facial muscles, or your jaw, see if you can just feel that movement through the torso and the rib cage and the pelvic floor area. So that takes some practice. But that's something that we can work through, and you might just practice that for the next 10, 15, 20 minutes. Take your time as you start to switch on those deeper abdominal muscles. And if anything, just breathe. We can breathe ourselves back into balance. Remember the crisis pose? Whenever I'm in back discomfort for whatever reason, I lie down on the floor with my legs at 90 degrees, and I just practice that 360-degree breath. So breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through pursed lips, like you're blowing out a candle. And just breathe in and breathe out. Start there, and you're giving a signal to your nervous system that you're safe. And so that sends signals to your body to naturally start to relax, to release that tension or that inner gripping that then can cause a lot of the tension and pain. I hope you find that helpful. Try it out for yourself and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm Laura. Bye for now.